guys, Brian Stevens here over at the National Real Estate Post and Mortgage Shots. If you like our show, do me a big favor. Go to mortgageshots.com and subscribe to it. We'll send you a show every day. It's going to be, 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to give you a little sales nourishment, what's going on in the industry, and hopefully put a smile on your face. And of course, share this because that helps us. When we bring a show to you every day, there's a lot of production that goes into this. So when you share it, you help us. But most importantly, I get to see what you're doing. So I said today, and I want to get right into this. I don't want to make this too belabored or too long, but I told you I have a story to tell you. And man, do I have a story to tell you. But most importantly, I have an incredible takeaway for every loan officer, real estate agent, or anybody who occupies any space in the real estate or lending landscape. So stick with me until the end. This will not be terribly long, but my story today is very, very personal. My last couple of weeks have been some of the most challenging couple of weeks I've had in my life, and it has nothing to do with the business. It has nothing to do with the family. It has everything to do with me, and I want to let you know what that is. So a couple of weeks ago, I started feeling some tingling in my hands, and I felt some tingling in my feet. So with a little bit of chest compressions and elevated blood pressure, which, stressful times right now, we're busting our ass. Everybody's working 12 hours a day just like I am. I know you are. It got to the point where I looked at my blood pressure and I said, you know what? I need to go make sure that I've got this stuff taken care of. So I went down to my doctor, which I go to a doctor about once every decade. Now, here's what I do. I spend $3,200 a month. I personally spend $3,200 a month for health coverage. I write that check every month, and I've done that for over a decade. It wasn't that much a decade ago, but it was still more than everybody. And the reason is I think everything kind of works out pretty well for Brian, and I'm subsidizing the health care of others. And for that, I am okay. Now, as my kids have grown up, and some of you have been watching me for decades now, so you've actually probably known me when I had my children who were newborns at the time, but they are now, my daughter's down in San Diego, my son's up in Sacramento, and my youngest child is about to move out, and she needs me like not at all. She's remarkably independent, and I'm proud of all three of my kids. But anyways, so my wife decided she was going to go back to work because getting out of the house, staying home and raising kids for all those time, and man, was that great. But what happened is that, it's just times changed. And going back to work meant that we can go take that $3,200 check and not pay that anymore. Like if we could do that, that would be part of it. And we did it, and we took our health insurance and we moved it over to my wife's. Again, I'm going somewhere with this. So anyways, I found myself a couple of weeks ago where I had this numbness in my hands and this numbness in my feet and elevated blood pressure. And I'm like, I got to get this thing figured out. I went down to the doctor and they did MRI and they said, well, Brian, it turns out like your heart looks fine. That certainly isn't a problem. However, we found this spot on your kidney and we found one on your liver. And we're concerned about this mass we found in your kidney, which is 2.5 centimeters or 3 centimeters in size. Now, the meaning is that could be cancerous. In the process of this, I found out I have one kidney, not two kidneys. They never really separated. It's an abnormality, but it's not that big of one. But it just means you could take some of the solutions off the table, right? So what I had to do is either get a biopsy or go into a CT scan and find out if I've got cancer. So in short, a couple of weeks ago, I had what amounted to what I believe to be a cancer diagnosis. Now, in the process, they said, we also noticed a lesion on your liver, and the lesion, as I understood it, was 8 centimeters in size. So now I'm going in because I've got a little tingling in my hands, and I'm walking out of there with potential kidney cancer and liver cancer. Now, if you know the lifestyle I've lived over the past, 20 years, and for those who've watched, you probably know, I tend to burn the candle on both ends of this thing. And I thought, well, at my age right now, that kind of makes sense. So over the past couple of weeks, I've kind of had to deal with this. What I learned was when I spoke with my doctor, they said, well, what we've learned about this thing on your liver is it's metastasized and it's 8 centimeters. So I look up an 8 centimeter tumor on your liver and it's about the size of a nectarine. I look up 8 centimeter tumor online. You can check it out right now. And it says, well, that's stage 4 liver cancer and you've got 66 days to live. So over the past couple of weeks, I spent 3 or 4 days thinking I'm not going to be able to see my daughter graduate from 11th grade if I've got 66 days to live. It's a strange reality to come to within a 24-hour period, but that's exactly where I found myself. Of course, your mind is always going to go to the worst case scenario. I didn't have all the evidence in front of me, but that was the case. Anyways, here's what it really comes down to. It just came back today that it is not cancerous. It's a simple cyst, and I don't have any cancer anywhere in my body, but I didn't know that until today. So I've run the whole gamut emotionally, and it really kind of changes how you think about things. And what I thought is I would be an emotional wreck about it, but what I found is I thought, boy, I need to make sure I'm doing the right things I need to do today, and it really gave me a focus in my work and outside of my work. And it's just, it just made me understand the things that are important is making sure that your family's okay. Again, I don't want to get too sentimental on this, but it really kind of gave me a laser focus about things. In the process of doing this, about 3 months ago, I decided to start writing loans again. And I was writing loans because when I'm talking to loan officers and we're sharing strategies, and I do something called pods, we call it Mortgage Shots Pods, and it's a crowdsourcing approach to, I don't even want to call it coaching. It's really a cooperative where we all get together and we talk about what we think best practices are. I talk to other loan officers in our pods groups, which are big and small collectively, depending on how we shift them. That's the idea behind it. And then what we do is I talk to loan officers who are pounding the pavement, and we figure out what needs to be done. And then we take all of our collective mindsets and what we bring to the table with technology, with approaches, with strategies, whatever the case may be. And we try to have a holistic approach to solving these problems. Because my experience is that a bunch of people who are coaches out there have never written loans before, or 20 years removed from writing loans, or a lot of people who are acting the part of coaches are people who just aren't really kind of hacking it right now doing loans, and so they go into coaching. And I see more of it now than ever. And I thought, boy, I don't want to be the expert out there, but what I want to do is I want to get a whole bunch of people who have something to say and put them together and create a cooperative that I call Mortgage Shots Pods. And I've been working on this for a year. Now, when everyone came into this, I said, hey, listen, we don't know the direction it's going to go, but if we all do this together, loan officers from different areas of the country, from different companies, and working in their own disciplines and bringing their skill set, their knowledge set to the table. So we've been working on this, and I love the idea of crowdsourcing, and I'm never going to get away from it. I don't like the idea of having the one omnipotent person who's running everything. I like the idea of a collective. Through Think Big, Work Small, through the National Real Estate Post, through Mortgage Shots, I found strategic partners over the past 20 years of traveling around the country and making videos and doing this type of stuff. This is point number 3, by the way. In the process, I found a group that really represents my values. They said, hey, let's work on a brokerage together. I said, okay, as long as it represents my values. I'm too old to go into all the craziness that I see in the brokerage and mortgage industry right now. I don't want anything like that. I want something that represents a cooperative like we have with Pods. I said, well, if we could build a mortgage company to where Pods becomes kind of a de facto proxy board of the company, and it's the loan officers who have a big say in determining the direction of the company, I like that idea. Because a board of loan officers isn't going to have an ego run amok, as I've seen for decades now, with companies that go from small to large sizes. No, if you have a board, you're going to have a group of loan officers that will keep the right temperament in mind. And they said, okay, we got that. And I said, well, we got to have the best pricing in the world too. And that means, and by the way, pricing is very simple. Everyone wants to know what you're getting, what's your rate. Here's what it really comes down to. Ask yourself what the house is keeping. If you want to know pricing, if you're all going off of raw pricing, it's not about the rate you're getting, it's about what the house is keeping. And the house is keeping, okay, so we're going to keep this low. And what it really does is it allows the house to go ahead and deal with, paychecks, payroll, compliance, and things of that nature. Nothing anybody as a small brokerage owner wants to deal with anyway. So that kind of checked out. And I said, so we can bring our Pods group in over here. We can move it into a new company. We can go ahead and we could create the cooperative approach. We could have the best pricing. And I said, now we have to have the best technology. I need to have the best tech stack in the country. And I do have the best tech stack in the country. I have a better tech stack than you. And if you want to reach out to me, I'll prove it to you. And my tech stack is included in the lowest house take of any mortgage brokerage in the country. I know that to be the case. And if you're working on this revolutionary idea with us, you have a say at the table. If you don't like the tech stack and you're a part of it, guess what? You have a say. So when we sit together and we talk about marketing, we're also talking about the direction of the company. We're talking about how to go ahead and fulfill what our marketing ideas and strategies are, not individually, but as a whole, as a group, but in our own markets. And I like that. So we've got the great tech stack. We got the whole thing that kind of works out. Now, when I say holistically, what I like to do, guys, and here's where I'm going to get to my point, is I want something, and I've always thought this, is like we should have symmetry in our lives and we should have symmetry in our business. So symmetry in my business is my marketing becomes my company, becomes my coaching, becomes my recruiting, becomes my tech. So when we're sitting down, we are checking 7 or 8 boxes at any given time, and every loan officer has a seat at the table. This is called an efficiency or an economy of time, and it's an economy of practices, and it's an economy of business. And there's not a mortgage company in the country who's looking at it this way. Nobody is. So I love that. Now, I look at my marketing and I say, how can I have the same economy of time and economy of business where I can check a number of different boxes? In other words, if I go get coffee every day and I see the same people at coffee every day, every person in that coffee shop has their own ecosystem, their own sphere of influence, along with the owner, along with the street in front, which becomes its own ecosystem in and of itself, the traffic that goes by there. And I think if I'm going to go ahead and walk 75 yards in that direction to get a coffee every morning, how can I find a way to maximize any business opportunities for what I could do if I look at this very critically, very deliberately, and very tactically? That's what I do. And so I'm like, okay, is there an opportunity there? And I say there better be, because as any loan officer or real estate agent in the country, what I need to do is I need to own my backyard. If somebody is succeeding in an area where I'm doing business, then I just need to be more clever than them, don't I? As do you. And it's great that I have my group of people in pods who can help me out being more clever, because I don't just have to use mine. I can lean on the brains of 20, 50, 300 other people who are all sharing with the same objectives and the same goals. Again, symmetry, a seamless balance between life and work, a seamless balance between work and work. So this is kind of what's taken place, and it's been working out brilliantly. Absolutely love it. But then I ran into another opportunity that I thought was great. That is part of my seamless integration to what I'm doing. See, one of my integrations, and I don't want to give away the house to you, but I got 72 businesses all within 300 yards of me right now. Those 72 businesses are all their own databases. You know, walking into a pawn shop is going to be just as effective if you go in the right way as walking into a real estate office. In fact, I dare say it might even be better, because people are actually going into the pawn shop. Nobody, including realtors, are going into that office. I got 5 real estate offices right around the corner from me, and they're all ghost towns. They ought to be mortuaries. But I'll bet you a couple of people are going into that pawn shop to find that Rolex from 10 years ago that they never could afford, at half price. But you know what? I like the pawn shop opportunity better than I like that real estate. Anyways, the point is I've got 72 businesses down here. Why don't I have an approach for every one of those? Because each one stands alone as its own individual ecosystem. We are a solar system, my friends, right now, and every one of them is a planet, and everybody has something unique to offer. And if I can put them all together, then boy, don't I benefit. That's part of my ecosystem. Now, then the question then becomes, well, you better have like an approach to them to where you're going to stand out amongst your competition. See, right now, what we all do, this whole industry does, is like you will walk into a coffee shop and they'll have a cork board next to the bathroom, and you'll take your business card and you'll stick it on that cork board with 900 other loan officers and real estate agents, and nothing happens. But that's not marketing. That's laziness. We're talking about a comprehensive approach to that. But then the other part of it kind of started to weigh on me that I better have some great loans. Why don't I become the person who understands how to deal with bank statement, alt doc, non-QM, 1099 approaches to these folks who own these small businesses? And of course, I did that. I put more arrows in my quiver. The more arrows I have, the better off I'm going to be. I've become fluent in the language of non-QM. And this is really great for me to do because I have fantastic partners over at Oaktree, who's got inside account reps right now who are there to help you right now as they've helped me. And I know everything I need to know to be fluent, to answer any questions, any battery of questions from anyone, anywhere, anytime about this stuff, with a real estate agent, with a client, with an investor. It doesn't matter. I've got my talking points down. I get it. And when these loans come in, I can execute them. As a real estate agent, you want to work with somebody like me. I don't mess around with this stuff. I'm not going to figure it out on the fly. I've been proactive, and I've got this right now. But then it dawned on me that we have to have something that's a little bit more comprehensive than that, and that's where this whole thing comes in. I've learned of another company. What if you, as a loan officer or realtor, what if you could create an outside company that's actually working for you? And this is by extension from what I'm doing with the companies that I'm working with, and just having tentacles out for everybody. Well, there's an outside company. What if there was an outside company, that had a situation for your investors where they didn't go in and close a loan? Everything that we look at is kind of on a one-off closed basis, right? Here's what loan officers and realtors do. You see the prey, you hunt the prey, you kill the prey, you eat the prey, and then you have to go out and hunt again. We are only as good as our last hunt, aren't we? What you really want to do is create recurring revenue opportunities for you. You don't want to go after the bison in the back. What you want to do is you want to find a way to tame the herd. Does that make sense? We don't want to be cavemen anymore. We don't want to have to go after the bison in the back. We want to tame the herd. And that's kind of what I'm talking about right now. So I found a group, potentially, that could actually go out there and I could have a conversation, for example, with a self-employed person who's right in my backyard. And in the process of doing that, if they have somebody who's an investor, I could hook them up with my group, a group that, I'm not saying that this is happening right now, but what if you had no high-cost test, no 1003s, no CD or closing disclosures, no credit reports, no cap on transactions, no TRID test or timing requirements, no credit trade line requirements, No 12-month ledger needed on short-term rentals. What if you had something that looked like that? And what if you had a company who just took the whole thing over? Now, you see, this doesn't fall under the jurisdiction of the Dodd-Frank rule because we're not talking about our Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie qualified mortgage stuff. We're talking about something that's entirely different. What we're talking about is a whole new revenue stream. We're talking really kind of about a whole new business for anybody, any realtor or lender right now that was thinking they might be interested in this. Now, coming full circle on this whole thing, I'm looking at a real interesting couple of weeks in terms of my life. Where I stand right now is kind of refreshed, renewed, and feeling good about things. And thank God I'm eating lots of turmeric and lots of cayenne pepper and, an alkaline correct diet and all of those good things. But in the process of this, it really gave me a focus with my work. And what it told me is, as a loan officer, I need to find something that's going to extend beyond myself. When I'm talking about a company like this, let's say that their average clientele worked with, and I'm just throwing things out there, did 8 transactions. On those 8 transactions, you were paid out 8 times. And because it doesn't deal with the Dodd-Frank rules and regulations out there, what if you could do these not only in your market, but what if you could do these in any market around the country? But how about this? What if you decided to kind of create a new focus for your business? What if you decided to become part of my holistic approach that I have with our company, where me and you, we control the technology. We as loan officers control the temperament. We make sure that we have a company that's representing our values in only the best ways. Idealistically, yeah, it is something of a cooperative. We don't have any legacy problems where there's any litigious situations that we would have to deal with. We've got complete and total stability. But then what I do have for you is you become part of our pods groups. And that means you become part of our marketing, part of our board of directors, part of, our sales component, part of our coaching component. And all of these happen at one time. These aren't separate meetings. It is allowing you to give everything, all your skill and your knowledge set, and it's heard with the company. And you share that, and everybody succeeds. We leave nobody behind in this process. What if we did that? And what if I told you that we have an investor approach with a group that I just shared the outlines with, that it's an outside opportunity for you that creates a new revenue stream, the one I just told you about? What if I told you I have a strategy in place that me and my team are implementing right now? This is happening. We are setting up shop, we're doing this, and it's going to work. And oh, by the way, for the past couple of months of having a license, I closed 4 deals in 2 months. The first month I got my stuff together. The second month I closed 4 deals, and I had 3 in the wings that we could go ahead and close. That's 7 deals in a month and a half. That's a pretty good gig for only working after 10 years in the mortgage industry. When we start focusing on what we're doing with loans, we're going to blow this thing through the roof. And we're not leaving anyone behind. We're going to take everybody with us because we work as a cooperative. We work as a collective. We're creating other revenue streams for you. There's so many opportunities with what we're doing. And as a loan officer or a real estate, a loaner, isn't that great? But as a loan officer or a real estate agent, what I want you to do, if you choose to, if the status quo is working for you, rock on, keep it going. But if you want to look at something different, something that's going to, I don't know, my thinking right now for the past couple of weeks, I want some shit in my life that feels pretty good about what I'm doing. It's not only about the bottom dollar, it certainly has a lot to do with that, but it's about how we get there. It's about having your cake and eating it too. It's about building a business at the hardest time, doing it the right way, feeling good about it, and feeling great about the people you work with and people you work around. All you have to do is instant message me. We'll reach out to you. This is no joke. This is happening with or without you. The question then becomes, are you jumping on the spaceship? Listen, guys, appreciate you. I hope this makes sense to you, and I look forward to talking to you in the near future. So I hope.